Hello, yes, it's me. And lower your expectations now because I have no energy left in this year to do anything of value. So today we're gonna go back in time. I think this year is a wash, so we're gonna go back to our childhood. And by our childhood, I mean anyone who was born around 2000. Anyone like me. Because who cares about the rest of you, you know? Because a lot of people like to talk about their childhood shows and the nostalgia they have for them and how they wish they'd be revamped or revisited. And usually they're talking about shows like Danny Phantom or Avatar or old Disney Channel or Cartoon Network. But in the time that I remember my kids' television the most, it was around the years 2007 to 2009-ish. And they were weird. I remember my family had cable at one point, and there was this channel called Cubo. Does anyone else remember that? Or did I just fever dream it up? I don't know. But it was this channel, a channel that I had never heard of before we'd gotten it, and then, it was all you had. And it just had weird shows on it that I've never ever heard anyone talk about once. But, they were a big part of my childhood and my brother and sister's childhood. And sometimes I still hear them. I hear the theme songs playing in my head at night sometimes. And so I need to tell people about it. And they weren't all Cubo, the ones that I want to talk about today. Some of them were just weird shows that, again, nobody ever talks about, but I remember enjoying, strangely enough. The first one we have to talk about was called Horseland. Does anyone remember Horseland? Because that-ish was the bomb. Okay? It was about teenagers on a horse ranch. Would it be a ranch? I think it's a ranch. And so you had all of these distinct characters with the distinct horses that they owned. And, they did kids show stuff. They learned about teamwork and the grass isn't always greener and eating disorders. That's right, there was one of those episodes. But it was just so appealing to me and my sister as little girls because it was all the horses had their own distinct personalities. They all had their own distinct color schemes and streaks in their manes. Match their riders, and sometimes you would have the plot lines that had to do with the kids, and sometimes you would have plot lines that had to do with the horses. They had their own world. It was just cute. Okay, it was wholesome, and I want to go back to it. I just remember it being really feeling like a show made by people who liked horses, who wanted kids to know about horses and wanted to teach people things. And that felt good when I was little because I had a mom who loved horses and who grew up with horses, but we lived in a small desert town and we never had that kind of money. Also, there were these animals that framed each episode. I remember there was a dog called Shep and a cat named Angora and a pig whose name I do not remember. But she was really cute. And Angora was always hungry and rude because she was a mood, I wanted to find the name of the pig. Her name is Teeny, by the way. And so I looked up the Horseland wiki and I found some things I need to share with the world. The fact that Shep needs to conceal his overwhelming urge to kill her. Her fears include loud noises, mud, Bailey Handler, and the concept of quantum theory. She was originally intended to die and be served as a Thanksgiving dinner. Oh no. And so then I looked at this other character's page, edited by the same person. He is the 9,000-year-old son of John and Ava Burris. A timeless god who was retreated to escape the punishment of unfathomable war crimes. Aztec may or may not be a deity. This man has committed war crimes. he views the human race as a generally deplorable species. Mood. I just had to share that. And I also remember, because my sister and I loved Horseland, it was our favorite TV show at the time, but it was on at a certain time in the morning, of course. And right before Horseland in the time slot was a show, I think it was called Trolls, I want to say, with a Z. Like, stop putting Z's on things that don't need Z's. And it was just, I just remember being about, like, troll girls. I don't exactly, I think they might have been magical, maybe teenagers, I just remember despising it. Like, never watching an episode all the way through, but I despised it. And so we had to, like, if we were ready to watch TV already, we had to sit through that show that we thought was garbage until we got to Horseland. You know, the real horse girl's dream show. We were just pretentious like that. We were like, no, we're Barbie lovers. We play with Barbie. We don't like brats. They're stupid. And I still stand by that, but not as aggressively.
There's a place we can go where we make the greatest friends we ever had, where we ride and we shine and we stick together through the good.
There was also this guy on Horseland I had a very large crush on. I can kind of see it, but you know. Another show I remember was called, it had sushi in the name. What was it called? Sushi Pack. Yes. That's it. It's called Sushi Pack. And I just remember they were like kind of superheroes, I think. And they were like little guys. They were supposed to be sushi. Like, I remember one of them was like an octopus and one of them was wasabi. But like they were little humanoid things, so I don't know how that worked. Were they fish? Were they just live fish? But they had arms and legs. I know there was like a little crab girl, but her claws were up here. I don't get that either. I don't know. It was very Japanese. Like, I think it had anime influences or something. And it was just weird. I just remember being weird. Like, there being a guy that looked like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I remember there being an episode where they met, like, citrus royalty. Why did no one ever tell me Greg Sipes and Tara Strong voiced characters in this show? And I just had to find that out by randomly Googling it. From the planet Citrus. Really? They were only 11 minutes long. I do not remember that. Things seem to take so much more time when you're little and tiny. I'm not crazy though, they exist. So there was that. But I remember enjoying it, so who cares? Another show I remember watching was Jackie Chan Adventures, which I remember like finding really funny and like hilariously entertaining. Also, this show had a banger of a song as its end credits. Like, I made my sister replay it over and over again to listen to it. Why am I putting this on the internet? We're on to the next show. I remember is Jane and the Dragon. This I do remember being on Cubo. And I remember it being fairly standard. Like, it was about a girl who wanted to become a knight, and it was set in like medieval times, and she had a giant dragon friend, as you do. Don't remember if people knew about the dragon or not. The thing that had me shook when I revisited this later in my life were just the graphics, which were terrifying. Like, some of those character models haunt me to this day because they're scary. They frighten me. I don't know why they let that on TV to show children. It was scary, okay? What else was there on Cubo? I remember Babar. Does anyone else remember Babar? That was the show that was like, it was more low-key and relaxed, so it was kind of like what you watched when you didn't have anything else to watch or you were waiting for something to start. And it was just about like an elephant king guy and like his family. I think they were British. If they weren't, they had a British feel, you know? Like, witty. What else was on Cubo? There was also a VeggieTales show, I remember. And I grew up with a bunch of VeggieTales specials. But I think the Cubo show was just like recycled specials put together in episodes with like little bits in between. Remember there being an episode of Larry Boy where there was like an apple villain, and even as a kid I remember being like, but she's an apple, she's not a vegetable, what is this logic? You know, like you do when you're 7 years old. But it was like this big epic episode where she was going to take over. But I remember watching the first part of the episode and it always ending and me not getting to watch the second part because either it didn't come out or I wasn't there at the right time or whatever. But I just never got to watch the second part of that episode, and I'm dying to know what happened to Larry Boy. Cubo also had a few live action shows I remember. One of them was Cake. That was the name of the main character. Yes, I know it's dumb. And it was just like a crafty show. I remember that the actress who was in Camp Rock and some other stuff, she was on it. And it was just about like it had plot that these teenagers went through, but they tied it together with some sort of like DIY craft. You could say I was watching Lord DIY way before she was cool. I have a very, very, very vague memory of Jaker's The Adventures of Piggly-Winks. Only know the title because I saw it when I was revisiting these shows, and I was like, wait a second, I recognize that boy. But that's all I remember. Just the character models. That's it. That's all I got. They're very weird looking. That's all I have to say. Oh my gosh. You know how, obviously we all go through phases. But I had a phase when I was around 8 where I just wanted to be cool. Like, I was like, no, I've outgrown Disney. I'm no longer a princess girl or a flowery girly girl. Barbie is out now, I'm too old. So I'm a cool kid. I like movies with explosions. Kissing is gross. I like Hot Wheels. I want to, be one of the guys. Obviously, you see how that changed. It definitely was just a phase. But it's literally the whole reason that I decided to become a percussionist in band. And then I just found out I was bad at the drums and was way better and had more fun with the xylophone, which is the only girly percussionist instrument. So you see how that went. But my point is, this was the phase I was going through when I started watching Hot Wheels Battle Force 5, the animated show, on my own. Like I found out about it and I was like, I'm gonna watch this as like my cool thing when my parents and when my brother and sister are busy off doing something else. It was such a like knockoff Transformers thing. Like they had cool cars that could do cool stuff and go really fast, and I don't remember one character, I don't think. I remember there was a purple guy. Because I always identified with the purple person. Because purple is my favorite color, that's how it worked. But it didn't stick with me, so I guess it did no good. In that same vein, but one I remember watching with my brother and sister, because it was a good, like, common thing for us. It was adventure-y for me and my sister, but it had kick-ass dinosaurs for my brother, and that was Dino Squad. It just sounds so like Dino Squad 90s XX. It was a show about a group of teenagers who, because of some weird thing, I don't remember, could transform into dinosaurs. Like they each had their own species. I remember there was a Stegosaurus and a pterodactyl. And I think the girl was a raptor, something along those lines. And then obviously the team leader was the T-Rex. So like they each had their thing. And like helping them out was like this old lady who was their teacher who could transform into a dinosaur, but she was like a real dinosaur, I think, if I remember correctly. Was she? But I remember she was like old, like prehistoric, I mean. And her nemesis was this really kind of hot evil guy who was also a dinosaur, and they were like fighting each other, and I think there was like some sort of environmental message to cover the earth in primordial ooze. Gosh, that phrase is still, we still use that phrase in my family. Primordial ooze. You ever just have a really bad sneeze and let out all that primordial ooze? So yeah, there are probably more, and obviously there are ones that were more normal later on, but those were the ones I wanted to talk about. So if anyone remembers them, let me know, please.
Get ready! Cool move, guys! Because CBS is the Coolopolis place to be.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Good job!
Prehistoric!
So get ready for Coolopolis, weekends on CBS.